Phantom Stranger number 11, written by J.M.D. Mateus, art by Fernando Blanco. This is a tie-in to Trinity War, and it's not a well-structured story, so I will explain it as best I can. But we open up in this mid-gray void where there's a bunch of souls just floating around. And we have Phantom Stranger, Deadman, Batman, and Katana all just like, where in the hell are we? And Phantom Stranger explains, this is what you can affectionately call Heaven's Basement, where all the souls who are just like not able to detach themselves from the physical experience, they just kind of chill out here. And they all got weird tendril bits to try to suck out the souls of the living, because we need some tension here. And so everyone's kind of floating around, and they're just like, yeah, just keep your head down, ignore them, don't worry about it. We'll just make our way to the place we actually need to get to. But Katana is just like, psh, we'll show them what the living are capable of if they come near us. And Phantom Stranger's like, no, they will suck your soul. Like, just ignore them. How hard is that? But they do reach out their tendrils, so they do have an issue of getting through. And then Deadman speaks up like, wait a minute, I have an idea. And he flies and he gets the tendrils all attached to him, and they try to drain his soul energy, but because he's not alive, it actually is like poison to them, and they start dissipating. And Phantom Stranger's like, yes, I knew that would happen. That's why I put that idea into your brain, dead man. And he's like, yeah, okay, thanks, Phantom Stranger. And Batman says, hey, we didn't just kill some undead, like, they're not dead forever, right? We didn't damn their eternal souls. He's like, no, they'll be good in a couple of minutes. They're like, oh, okay, cool, let's go. So they walk into this void, and we see the House of Mystery. And then I'm going to cut to the chase here, in that was a cut ahead. That was them like in media res. The story does nothing to establish that. And so you would think that it happens chronologically, but in actuality it happens a little later, because where we pick up is technically the first part of the story, where Katana and the rest of the JLA, along with Flash and Deadman, are all chilling at the House of Mystery, just standing outside while Batman and Phantom Stranger are inside talking. And Colonel Trevor even asks, like, hey, Deadman, shouldn't you have been with the other group? It's just like, yeah, they went and tried to find Pandora's box, but it wasn't where they looked, so I just left. I don't remember that happening, so it must be in a future part. But regardless, we see Batman and Phantom Stranger talking, and basically, the idea that they are posing here is Batman wants to somehow travel into the afterlife and talk to Dr. Light, because he believes that Dr. Light's spirit will be able to clear Superman of any wrongdoing. Like, he'll know that Superman didn't do it on purpose. And Phantom Stranger is telling him, no, can't do it. And he's like, why not? It seems like a pretty easy thing for you. Just go up to heaven, grab a soul, and come back. But as we know in the last issue of Phantom Stranger, he was warned that if he ever tried to go back to save another soul, he would be erased from time itself. So he is very angrily telling Batman, like, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And so we see Batman looking in this mirror that I don't even know if it's like supposed to be showing his memories or whatever, but regardless, he's like, look, Superman is this beacon of hope. He's pure good, but he's just a man, and he needs our help right now more than anything. And Phantom Stranger's like, okay, well, tell me about Dr. Light. And it's just like, he was a good man. He was pulled into Amanda Waller's scheme of the JLA. He was a husband. He had 3 daughters, and somebody robbed those daughters of their father. Somebody robbed the wife of the husband. And Phantom Stranger, having been through that himself, is like, fine, I'll take you to heaven. And so Batman and Phantom Stranger walk out, and he's like, hey, everyone, Katana, Deadman, we're going to need you too. Everyone else, just chill. We'll be back in a few minutes. And Trevor's like, wait, what are you... And then all of a sudden they disappear. And she's like, all right, well, guess we'll wait, everybody. So then we see the opening happens, and then they make their way out of Heaven's Basement into heaven proper. But it looks pretty much just like any normal city street. And he's like, wait a minute, hold on. Why is this? This is heaven? It just looks like downtown San Francisco. And it's like, no, this is somebody's personal heaven, or maybe like a bunch of people's collective heaven. Maybe they don't believe they deserve better neighborhoods. Maybe they think this is their idyllic. I don't know. It's somebody's heaven is this. And as they walk around for a second, all of a sudden everyone fades out, and Phantom Stranger's like, "Oh crap! They probably got dragged into their own little heavens, didn't they? I should have thought of that one." So first we caught over to Katana, who is sitting next to a waterfall next to her dead husband, and the husband's just like, "Hey, yeah, I'm dead. Like, this is actually me, in that I'm joining you in heaven because I'm a ghost and I'm able to do that every once in a while." So they get naked, they start making out, and she's just like, "Oh my God, I love this so much. I love spending my time with you." And he's like, "Oh, but what about my brother who you've been talking to in your own book?" And she's like, "Nobody reads my book." So at that point, Phantom Stranger comes out of the water fountain, just like, "Get back to whence you came, ghost." And so Maseo goes away, and Katana's like, "What did you do to my husband?" It's like, "That wasn't your husband. I mean, it might have been your husband. But either way, you got to focus on the mission here. We're here for a very important reason." And so she tries to swipe at Phantom Stranger, and she's like, "Okay, I'm sorry. Fair enough. Let's go." And he's like, "Yeah, well, first we got to go pick up Batman." So they go to what appears to be Wayne Manor, and we just see that Thomas Wayne is reading Christmas Carol to Bruce, and he's like, "Oh, Mom, I love this story. Just 5 more minutes before bed." And she's like, "Okay, 5 more minutes." And Phantom Stranger explains, like, "Yeah, this is the Christmas that never happened. Like, Christmas for him was spent very miserable this year. He's just imagining that this is like something that he wanted, something that would have been his own little heaven." And Batman shows up behind them. And he's like, "Yeah, that's something I really want." He's like, "Wait, how can you be here and also be young Bruce Wayne?" He's just like, "I don't know. It's just a part of me. There's a part of me that wants this, but a lot of me knows that I can't have this. Not quite yet. Maybe one day when I'm able to finally rest, but for now, Superman needs us." And Phantom Stranger's like, "By the way, Katana, I gotta wipe your memory of this because otherwise you'll remember Bruce Wayne." And she's like, "We gotta wipe my memory of what now?" So she doesn't remember that. It turns out Dead Man, he didn't have his own personal heaven because he's a ghost or whatever, and he's just happy not to be in hell. So he scoured heaven, he found Dr. Light, and as they make their way to his personal heaven, it's just a world made of light. He's gone full Star Child inside a big bubble of light, and Batman's like, "Okay, wake him up." And Phantom Stranger's like, "Not that easy. He was suddenly murdered. Like, he's still trying to adjust to the fact that he's dead." And Batman's like, "Too bad. I need him now." So Katana uses her sword, slice open the bubble of light. Dr. Light falls out, still unconscious. Batman's about to go like shake him awake, and Phantom Stranger's like, "Dude, let me deal with this." And he gently wakes him up. Dr. Light freaks out. He's like, "Oh God, it burns. Wait, hold on. I'm dead, aren't I?" And he's like, "Yeah, sorry, but I promise nothing's going to hurt you anymore. You're in heaven. Everything's cool. Batman just needs to ask you a few questions." Batman's like, "What do you know about Superman?" And he's like, "I don't, he's the one who killed me, isn't he?" He's like, "Right, but like, did he? Did you notice anything special about that?" He's like, "No, my brain was melting. No, I didn't notice anything different." And he's like, "Oh, all right, well, this was all pretty much for nothing then. That sucks. But wait, hold on." Phantom Stranger chimes in. There's a way. We can bring him back to life, and if we do, then there was never technically a murder, so Superman would be able to go free. And Batman's like, "We can do that? We can bring back the dead? That's insane. I love it." So Dr. Light says, "Hey, Stranger, look, I appreciate you wanting to bring me back to life. Seems outlandish, but if you're unable to, if something goes wrong, I want you to take this." And he pulls out this little dark ball thing, and he says, "Take this to my wife and children if something goes wrong and I'm not able to cross over." And Phantom Stranger says, "Hey, don't worry about it. I promise I will, but I won't have to. You're going to see him again." And then all of a sudden, Zoriel, the angel, shows up and says, "Stranger, what the hell did I tell you last time? I said that if you tried to pull another soul out of heaven, I was going to make sure I wiped you from existence. Did you forget all of that?" And Batman's like, "I'm sorry, that was a part of this? Why didn't you say anything?" Just be like, "Well, you kind of guilted me, Batman, but regardless, I made my peace with it." And so Batman, Katana, and Deadman are just sent away. Dr. Light's put back into his bubble, and Zoriel's like, "I told you, man. I said I'd wipe you from existence. You never will have existed at all now." And he's like, "That's fair. But here's the thing, I did it for a good reason, and I think that God's going to like that." And all of a sudden, he uses his flaming sword to wipe Phantom Stranger from existence. And that's the end of the trade, too. Like, there's another trade, obviously, but If you didn't know that, you'd think like, oh, the series ended on a really dour note. I liked it. I do think, like I said at the beginning, the fact that there is nothing to indicate the difference of intro to that opening in media res, it was very confusing. It took me a good like 2-3 minutes of like, wait, which part's supposed to happen first? So I did it. I do want to criticize that. But in terms of the second half of this book, once you do get the timeline down, I think it's great. I do think that the katana section of the personal heavens is kind of like whatever, especially because in Katana's book right now, she has like spoken to her husband at least 3 times. So the fact that she's just able to speak to him again now is like, okay, and so maybe a bit of editorial could have helped there, but in general, it was a nice read. It had some good character beats. It's a solid way to show character development for the stranger in that he's learned enough of, no, I have to do the right thing, even if it's against what even God wants. So, yeah, I'm going to give this one I'll give it a solid 8. I think it would have gotten an 8.5 if it wasn't for the weird structure issues at the beginning, but otherwise, I like it a lot. And it's probably the best tie into Trinity lore we've had yet.